Okay, welcome back to another episode of Banking Without Borders. So how does a fee of £1.49 sound to receive your own wages? Or a 2% fee to take your own money out of a cash machine and know that's not abroad? Or my personal favourite, 50 pence to check your own balance. These are real fees on real UK accounts, and today we're going to rank the 4 worst offenders. But there's something quite unsettling that they all share in common. These accounts are marketed at people who think a normal bank won't take them. So they come with no credit checks, no proof of address requirements, and you can sign up in minutes. They are basically pitching accessibility for people who can't get an account. But there's a price for that inclusion. You get charged to be paid. You get charged to pay a bill. One of them even takes a percentage of your money every time it leaves the account. Everything these providers are charging for, you are entitled to for free by law. The 9 biggest banking groups in the country have to offer it, and bad credit cannot be used to turn you away. So stay to the end because we're going to show you exactly how to use this. But before we get there, Jan, 4 accounts, ranks least bad to genuinely staggering. Where do we even begin?
Let's start with CardOneMoney, Johnny, which is arguably the least bad of these 4, which is quite fascinating because the only one with a monthly fee of £12.50, but at least everything is straightforward. They're selling transparency here, which, you know, is definitely a good thing if you compare that to all of these hidden charges these other accounts have. Doesn't mean it's cheap though. To close your account, and that's my personal favorite, to close your account, they charge £10, which, to be fair, only occurs if there is still a balance on the account. But now imagine you don't know of this charge, you want to close your account because you're fed up with all of these other fees, which I'm going to talk about very shortly. They'll be deducting £10 off your balance just to refund you your money. I think that's harsh. That's just not right. And then have an additional card holder. That's also a very fascinating charge. They charge £5 for that every single month. Right, that's £60 a year on top of the £12.50 that you're already paying as a monthly fee. Absolutely fascinating. It's not all bad though.
Okay.
A few of these other fees are somewhat reasonable in my opinion. Receiving money from the UK is free. Who would have thought? It's free here, and that's also one of the reasons why this account is not ranked worse, because all of these other providers do charge for this. To withdraw money from a UK ATM costs £1.50. To withdraw money abroad is expensive, £3 plus 2.75% on top of that. That is no surprise though, because all of these accounts are terrible travel cards. So if you're thinking about using them abroad, better don't. Just don't think about that. Direct debits are free. That's included. Standing orders as well. And I think it's fair, somewhat fair. Why is it fair? Because it doesn't charge you to receive money. That's at least somewhat good. This is an account. If I look at the website, it's targeted towards people who have been, who've had bad financial experiences in the past. Let's call it like that. You know, they might have bad credit. They might get refused by other accounts. But it's even more fascinating that the only account with a base fee targets the people who probably have the least amount of money available. Isn't it, Johnny?
Yeah, the highlight of their website is that this is a banking alternative that leaves no one behind. You're going to be left behind if you don't have £12.50 to pay the base fee. I mean, come on, like you are leaving people behind immediately when you have a base fee. It's a significant amount of money as well, Jan. Let's have a look at comparatively to like a Monzo or a Revolut account that's rich with features and products that's less than £12.50. This is a fee for apparent accessibility or inclusion or opportunity to get a banking account, which I think to many people is a desperate moment when you don't have a bank account. Possibly you've been debanked or you're trying to get one for the first time, but you're struggling. That is a desperate time for many people, and they're putting a fee or they're taking advantage of that desperation by charging £12.50 and then pretending that they don't leave anyone behind. It ruffles my feathers. I'm trying to play devil's advocate like we always do to have a balanced opinion, Jan. I'm looking at this website, CardOneMoney, but I'm seeing nothing very good, to be honest. Have you got anything positive to say about this lot?
Yeah, like really positive, not really, to be honest, Johnny. But the things I've mentioned that were included, like receiving money,
of
like
course.
direct debits, like standing orders, that's somewhat positive, isn't it?
But somewhat, mate. But as we're gonna get to, we're going to discover later in the episode that those things are free. Those things aren't £12.50. So are they truly positive, or is it like trying to polish a turd?
In relation to these 4 providers that we're comparing here today, I think this is positive. Obviously, if you compare to the rest of the market, it's should be taken. We should take that for granted that this is included, because there are many free accounts that provide this free of charge, plus several other features. But yeah, in relation, this is rather good. It's not the worst one. There's one that's fascinatingly worse.
Yes, this next one is quite surprising. I think those that may have followed the channel for a while now, back when we were called Monito, you would have heard me talk about this provider. Jan, you've probably written about this provider. Monese. Norris Koppel, who founded Monese back in the day, moved from Estonia to the UK and tried to open a bank account with several major UK banks. But with no UK credit history or utility bill to his name, he was constantly rejected. This account, the philosophy is it's built for someone that may have arrived in Britain with a foreign passport, no credit file, no proof of address, and they can have a working account in minutes. That still holds with this account, Jan, but the fee structure is despicable. Maybe that's a bit harsh. I don't know.
Yeah.
What word would you use to describe their fee structure?
Ridiculous, Johnny. Ridiculous, which is quite sad, because initially when this account first launched, I found it quite promising. I believe I also signed up for it like many, many years ago.
Me too. I've got
was
the card.
Rather satisfied, actually. I think it was quite fine. But now it's terrible. Let's start with my favorite bad aspects about this account. Paying in cash, 3.5%, and a minimum of £3. So every time.
What?
Just imagine, like you arrive in the UK, you might engage in the informal economy, or in other ways, just trying to survive, getting paid in cash, want to deposit that into your account, getting paid in cash, by the way, doesn't mean it needs to be illegal. You can also get paid in cash with a legal business, but you're trying to deposit that into this account. 3.5% they take off that. Ooh.
Yep.
Fascinatingly bad.
£3. That is. And we're going to talk a bit more about paying cash fees with the other providers, and we'll use this example throughout. But if we recall, Revolut used to have cash deposits, and they were charging 1.5%.
I think we made fun of that, Johnny.
Yeah, we did, mate. We did. I think the first £100 was free, which I recall saying, I feel like it should be the first 1,000 if you want to be fair. But I appreciate that there is a cost to using PayPoint, for example, because there is a human interaction. So there is a cost to this, but it's not 3.5% or a minimum of £3. It's just not. It's profiteering. I appreciate we live in a capitalistic market or economy. People are out to make money. Businesses should make money. I get that. On the back of customers that don't have very much money, and your ethos is about opportunity and inclusion, these aren't wealthy clientele. This isn't a wealthy client base that Monese have, I imagine, Jan. But still, these fees certainly look like they have money. I mean, let's talk about the litany of fees. I mean, this is an international account, essentially. It's for an international user, but receiving money, costs from abroad. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jan, because I struggle to get my head around the fee structure here, but I'm looking at £10 a year for an annual subscription alone just to receive money.
That is right.
And 2% per transfer. An international product is charging a £10 fee to be international.
A recurring fee.
There's a weekend currency surcharge as well. Hello, Revolut. You're not the only one doing this. And I get that because, currency markets, they're volatile and they'd have to hedge because they're not open during the weekend. But this is not a good fee structure. And again, it just highlights this opportunity that they are taking to take advantage of their clientele under the guise of being inclusive. Jan, what is your take on the future of Monese? Because realistically, if we look at the history of Monese in 2022, HSBC essentially propped them up with $35 million. That then fell through and they were bought out. With a fee structure like this, mate, do you see any future in this business model?
No, I think the main problem is that people who sign up for Monese think they have no other choice. That's why they are willing to accept such bad fees. And then as soon as they, maybe have improved their opportunities slightly by getting a better form of identification, for example, or proof of address, they would obviously switch to the next best bank. Any bank available in the UK offers better fees than this. So if you can access a regular bank account, you just go ahead and sign up for one. You don't have to stick with Monese. And I think that's their core problem. And honestly, that's not sustainable if you think about it.
No.
To be fair, they have some paid tiers available, Johnny, that do drop the fees a little bit But
Yes.
here we're looking at the base tier of each of these provider, and yeah, they're just terrible. And hey, you didn't mention the £1 inactivity fee that requires
Well,
every single month.
I was just about to get to that because I was going to
An
say
inactivity fee.
I was going to say, to counter your comment about how that, you know, people will just leave as soon as they have the ability to open a bank account with one of the high street banks. Well, don't worry, Monese are hedging against that because they're hoping people will go inactive and they can then charge £1 a month if you stop using their account. What are we charging for here? What are you charging people for? You know, just to hold an account on your books? Arguably, that's an opportunity to market. They're still in your funnel. You know, you can still try to return that customer with some sort of offer. Let them pay in cash for free. I don't know, but there's opportunity there. They haven't gone forever, but still they have the audacity to charge a £1 fee. This, to me, without hanging on this for too long, Yang, strikes me as a company that is on the cliff edge.
Yeah, it seems like
This is not a sustainable fee model. It's not competitive.
Yeah, the fee model is extraordinarily bad. But it's not the worst in this comparison. It definitely isn't. Monese is owned by Pockit. Pockit does have a fascinatingly worse fee model. And you think, you read through the Monese's fee model, you think it can't get any worse. You're wrong. It can definitely get worse. Let's start with receiving money in the UK. That costs £1.49, which is, how much is that? 50 pence more than what Monese was charging. Direct debits are £1.49 each. ATM withdrawals within the UK cost £2, at least a flat fee. And now it comes card spending abroad, 4%.
Oh, 4. I don't think I've ever heard a 4% fixed fee.
No.
Wow, that's a new number.
That's definitely the highest here.
Yeah, that's diabolical.
Hey, it gets worse though.
Go on.
If you decide to withdraw cash while abroad, you pay these 4% plus £2.25 as a fixed fee. Plus whatever the ATM provider is charging. So now imagine you withdraw money in Thailand. Maybe you're a Thai migrant who gave everything up in Thailand, moved to the UK, now just, saved up funds to travel back to his family, visit them. You have to take out money from an ATM. I know this is a very fictional scenario, but it could be. And I'm just bringing up that scenario because I know the ATM fee in Thailand is fixed at 220 baht per withdrawal. Then you're paying these 220 baht, which is in today's money probably £5.50 or so, something like that. And on top of that, £2.25 for Pockit, and then 4% of whatever you're withdrawing. Whew.
What shocks me here, and people may have picked up on this, the fees are fixed. These fees are entirely fixed, and they are layered on top of ordinary banking activities. Withdrawing money, direct debits, receiving money, spending money abroad. These fees, would never exist in a normal bank account, in a regular high street bank. It just doesn't exist because they wouldn't get away with that type of behavior. But if you were new to the UK, perhaps English isn't your first language, perhaps you would get a little bit caught up in the terms and conditions or the plans. You might not understand it. You might not understand how it works here. Based on where you're coming from, there might be a fixed fee on these things, Jan. I don't know, but this is like trickery.
It's very fascinatingly bad.
Early wage access at £1.49 is an interesting offer. I suppose you are being loaned money. Yeah. So charging a fee for that's somewhat justified. And I know there's plenty of other providers that offer the product, but most of the time it's free, right? Most of the time this is a free product.
I think so.
Pockit's founder, Jan, has described their target market as the bottom half of UK adults. 20 to 22 million people is their sort of target audience. That's his framing. It's not a very nice way to state that socio-economic population of the United Kingdom, to call them the bottom half. But he's essentially saying, I think at least, that they are targeting
poor people
that aren't very well off. So we're targeting poor people.
And those are paying the highest fees.
For those that are listening, I apologize, but I'm going to show up for those that are watching some visuals of their website, and I'll try to describe them. But you've got a lot of visuals of the same woman. I think she's real. She may be AI generated. She looks extremely happy. She's holding a phone. She's holding a card. It's the most staged photo shoot in the history of the world.
She hasn't seen the fee schedule, Johnny. I'm sure.
She hasn't. There's no way. They've got some cashback offers. Is it worth mentioning? You can get up to 5% on top brands, 1% cash back on all other spending and direct debits. Maybe that's a way to offset the cost of the plans. Just trying. I mean, we always try to be balanced on this show.
How can you be balanced reading these fees?
Let's look at their Trustpilot. 24,000 reviews from 4.3 stars. So some people are satisfied. What does that tell you? That tells you that maybe a proportion of those people don't know how this works and they are satisfied because the alternative might not be that good anyway. There are some credit building opportunities here. What's the general consensus? The user experience, payment, customer service are all quite good at Pockit. It does worry me when you see this kind of positivity and you see those types of fees, Jan. Can someone explain to me if, do they not correlate necessarily, and why is that? High fees doesn't necessarily impact a Trustpilot score because if the service is good, then that's okay. But I would argue that this service can't be any better than a free account, so you can't really justify the fees. Maybe someone with experience of Pockit is watching this right now and could jump in, and I'd say the same for any of the other accounts that we've talked about thus far.
Yeah, Johnny, let's talk about one provider that's even worse, in my opinion at least. That Suits Me. Suits Me, looking at the fee schedule, get the assumption that it only suits them. Outgoing bank transfers, fascinatingly expensive, Johnny. Fascinatingly expensive. They charge 2.5% of whatever you're trying to transfer out. But it's capped at £4 at least.
That's
just
good.
Imagine, like you're trying to initiate a transfer, trying to get money out of the account, they're charging you for it. Wow. So the only way to get rid of it essentially is branding it with your card.
Okay. Oh, God. Okay, so you can open the account in 3 minutes with no minimum deposits, but rewards as standard. What is this marketing jumbo? So it's saying that the account rewards you as standard. Right, okay. Let's see, where are these rewards then? What are these rewards, Jan? The rewards are, they reward you with a £5 fee if you don't pay a direct debit. I thought we'd got past direct debit fees, but we apparently haven't.
Let me just interject here, that's for every try. So sometimes when you cannot pay a direct debit, I've had that happen actually in the past because I forgot to update my banking details and the account was empty, that was trying to be charged. So when you can't pay it, when you can't pay it, they try multiple times. So every single try is being charged at £5. They make that clear in their fee schedule. That's fascinating. Now imagine the provider trying 3 or 4 times, and that's when you notice it. Wow, you might owe them £20.
Yeah, why couldn't you pay your direct debit? Maybe you just don't have enough money. Maybe you just skint. So you're being charged a £5 fee for being broke. When you're arguably at your most vulnerable financially, you're probably financially vulnerable before. That's why you signed up for Suits Me in the first place, because their philosophy is that it's built specifically for migrant workers. So there's no credit check. Again, I said this already with the other accounts. There's no proof of address needed. They publish this website in 14 languages. So what does that tell you? It tells you that they are just spreading an extremely wide net to capture as many foreigners or people that are foreign to the UK as possible. And any money moving through your account, it looks like they're taking a percentage for it. Balance inquiry, 50 pence.
At an ATM.
Card spending abroad, 3.47%. What are these figures? 3.47% for spending abroad plus £1.97. Where are these numbers coming from?
Well, from their website.
Yeah, from their website. Someone's spitting them out in the accounting department. Paying in cash. Okay, this one got me as well. Paying in cash. Again, I said I'd return to this. They want £2 plus 1.5% to pay in cash at PayPoint. That is expensive every time. You're getting, say, your salary paid in cash because perhaps you're working a car wash. Perhaps you're younger and you're, mowing lawns, doing landscaping, getting cash from customers. You are getting a £2 plus 1.5% fee every time. What bothers me the most about this is that people in this position are typically at their most desperate and they may think that this is their only option. And is it time, Jan, to maybe talk about the fact that this isn't their only option and the UK mandates that the biggest banks have to provide people accessibility to a current account? albeit basic.
I think now is a good time to move on, Johnny. Let's talk about that.
Under the Payment Accounts Regulation of 2015, we have the likes of Barclays, the Cooperative, HSBC, Lloyds Banking, Santander, TSB, Virgin. These are apparently nine of the largest banks in the UK, but Monzo should probably be on this list as well. They have to provide you with a current account, and that's where you can have your wages or your benefits paid into. You can get cash in and out at a branch. You can use the post office. Direct debits and standing orders must exist, a debit card, online and mobile banking, everything you would expect. Now, you should be able to open one of these accounts with no credit or poor credit. But I do wonder, Jan, maybe you can confirm this. A legal resident of the UK can open one of these, but can you confirm if someone who's come to the UK and isn't fully into the system yet?
Well, not necessarily. So the FCA is quite broad with the criteria they apply here, but they do say that they have to make it easy and have to be flexible with the terms of identification that they accept. So there could be, and I assume that official certificates, maybe a birth certificate that you bring with you, certain state letters, could be a letter from the job center, from the financial institutions, could be maybe confirmation letter from a homeless shelter, potentially, whatever you have available. I would say bring that to the bank, mention the situation that you're in, and then you should be able to get this account open. And if you don't with one bank, try with all of the 8 others before you choose one of the options that we just discussed.
A bank as well is compelled to give you an answer within 10 days. So there might be a period of time where you could still be unbanked, shall we say, which is, I think, important to say that one of these providers that we've mentioned today could fill that void.
Yeah, they're relatively fast, I think. Suits Me, as an example, they do mention all kinds of ID forms that they accept on their website. It's a complete list. I would assume that these forms of identification are also accepted within a legacy bank. I would assume that, but they do take much longer to decide whether they want to accept your application or not. But that doesn't prevent you from just applying with several different entities and just taking whatever the account that gets approved. Just take that instead. But in the meantime, maybe if you need an account within these first 10 days, maybe then Suits Me is a good option, or one of these other providers, but just don't stick with them for long term. It's not worth it at all. And there's way better options out there. This basic account that's available to everyone within the UK, even asylum seekers, right? Not just settled residents. Good alternative.
So do let us know what you think of any of the accounts we've talked about. Do you have any experience using them? And also, which of their fees were most shocking to you? I don't know, Jan, if people will find it that shocking that there is a fee attached to depositing cash, for example, because cash is becoming somewhat redundant. And as a result of the opposite of economies of scale, right? It's going to get more and more expensive to pay in cash the less people do it. So that's a fee I could necessarily accept. But when it comes to fees like closing accounts or inactivity fees or £5 if a direct debit is missed, I have a real hard time accepting that. And Jan, I wanted to ask you a question. As someone who's lived an expat migrant life, do you relate to this kind of desperation in any way to open an account? Because you've moved internationally, surely, and you've been unbanked for a period of time. Can you relate to why some people would accept paying these types of fees?
I've not been unbanked, Johnny, let's make that clear, but I do kind of relate to this situation. I understand why it can happen. I think the main problem is people losing access to accounts before they get to open another one. And that's exactly the situation you don't want to be in. So if that's a risk that could potentially happen to you, just make sure to have at least 2 or 3 different accounts available before you move abroad or so. And then also, I know it's not right, but let's say you're planning to move abroad, you're planning to move to a different country, move there first, then open up a local bank account, and then go ahead and potentially update the address with your old bank accounts. Don't do that beforehand, because else there might be a period where you don't have access to any bank account and you see that's not right. And then there are different institutions potentially trying to take advantage of you. So don't let that happen at all. Yeah, try to be clever about it, plan ahead. And I think that's all I can say about this.
If you do have questions about this, if this is something that's actually bothering you, jump in our Discord. I'll put a QR code up on the screen. I'll put a link in the description box and message us, reach out to Jan, reach out to me. You can reach out to anyone in the server. We've got over 100 founding members now, and lots of people are living an international lifestyle using various accounts with multi-currency capabilities, possibly accounts that are easier to access because they have various passports and live in different regions of the world. So this is definitely something that I think, Jan, a lot of people on our Discord server could help those in need or those seeking advice around the idea of trying to find more inclusive, accessible bank accounts. Everybody, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please do consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. I'll put a link in the description box below. And as always, if you've enjoyed the show, give the video a like, rate us on Apple Podcasts, rate us on Spotify, however you get your podcasts. We'd really appreciate 5 stars. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.